of people would have you believe the Earth is round. Well, we'll see. What is the flat Earth theory? Well, the flat Earth theory posits...
Let me stop you right there.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
Have you ever dreamed of going up to outer space? Or maybe meeting other beings from another place? Have you ever wondered what it's like on other planets? Then you watch a science show and come to believe you understand it? You feel empowered by the knowledge and you feel enlightened. Listening to Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson. But then you wake up and you start to see the obvious. Life is just a lie and this whole world ain't what we thought it was. NASA's missions to the moon were never completed. They just filmed them in a room and people believe it. I used to wonder what it's like to be an astronaut. Now when I see them acting, I can't help but to laugh a lot. They give us cartoons and they claim that we live on a ball, but it's flat and it's not moving or spinning at all. Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that, you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
History has been rewritten by winners of wars. The Jesuit order, Khazars, Freemasons, and more. They pulled the veil over our eyes, and it's time to awaken. Through organized indoctrination, our minds have been taken. It's time we take our power back and we rescue our people. The Vatican and the bankers are like Resident Evil. They may have had the greatest plan that was ever concocted, but Illuminati never thought that they'd ever be spotted. They're manufacturing reality all in our heads. They tell us if the earth is flat, then we'll fall off the edge. But if it is a spinning ball, we won't fall off it then. And gravity is our imaginary magic friend. Why is water always flat when unmanipulated? Why are pictures of the earth computer generated? Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that, you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
Dear NASA, it's becoming 100% crystal clear that you and the other space programs that are in operation are connected and are deceiving the entire world. More and more people are waking up every single day, and we are now able to see right through you. But what we really want to know is, why are you lying? Sincerely, me and the great people of this earth.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
The flat Earth is not a theory, and doesn't posit anything besides demonstrable, empirical, objective facts. For example, it is a fact, not a theory, that bodies of water always seek and find their own level. From a beaker, a bottle, or a bathtub, to a pond, lake, or an ocean, the natural physics of water and other liquids is to find and remain level. It is an unproven, unscientific theory with no observable, measurable, or repeatable evidence to claim that bodies of water can somehow bend, cling to the exterior of shapes, and show convexity upon their surface. It is a fact that the majority of Earth is covered in such level water, thus making it an unscientific theory to postulate that Earth is actually a gigantic sphere with bendy oceans curving all the way around it. It is a fact, not a theory, that the horizon always appears perfectly flat, 360 degrees around the observer, regardless of altitude. All amateur balloon, rocket, plane, and drone footage show a completely flat horizon as high as we can reach, over 20 miles, or 120,000 feet up. The only time the horizon ever bends is when viewed through a fisheye lens, or a curved commercial airplane window. It is also a fact that the horizon always rises to the eye level of the observer as altitude is gained, so you never have to look down to see it. If the Earth were in fact a globe, no matter how large, as you ascended, the horizon would stay fixed, and the observer would have to tilt looking down further and further to see it. It is a fact, not a theory, that we are able to observe objects at incredibly long distances, far beyond what would be possible if Earth were a globe 25,000 miles in circumference, as we're told. For example, it is a fact that in Genoa, Italy, from just above sea level, on clear days, it is possible to see the distant islands of Elba, Gorgona, Caprea, and Corsica 80 to 125 miles away. It is a necessary theory that the globe Earth must curve 8 inches per mile squared if it really be a ball 25,000 miles in circumference. But based on such a theory, these islands would all be completely hidden behind thousands of feet of curved Earth. In fact, the record-breaking longest-distance zoom photograph ever taken recently showed Pic Gaspard from Pic de Finestrelles a whopping 275 miles away, at a height of under 10,000 feet, where, based on correct curvature calculations, the entire mountain should be invisible behind several miles of curved Earth. It is an observable, testable, repeatable scientific fact of reality that Polaris, the North Pole star, situated perfectly over the North Pole center of Earth, never moves a single inch, night after night, year after year, century after century, with all the other fixed stars remaining fixed in their relative constellations, revolving perfect circles around Polaris. It is an unobservable, unproven, unscientific theory to claim that thousands of years ago Polaris mysteriously did move, and Thuban or other stars became the center of rotation. It is also an unobservable, unscientific theory to claim that the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour around an axis, while rotating tens of thousands of miles per hour around the Sun, while the entire solar system circles hundreds of thousands of miles per hour around the Milky Way, and the Milky Way shoots millions of miles per hour more off through infinite space, when we cannot see, hear, feel, or otherwise observe or prove any such motion. And we can see clearly for ourselves Polaris never moving and all the other stars revolving around it. Not only that, but such circular star trails around an unmoving pole star prove that it is the stars themselves moving and not the Earth. If the Earth were truly a tilting, wobbling, spinning space ball undergoing these multiple contradictory motions through the universe, you would only see irregular spiral-shaped star trails, and the night sky would never be the same twice. It would be impossible for constellations to exist whatsoever if Earth were truly undergoing these various theoretical motions. And those are just a few of the countless, observable, testable, repeatable, scientific facts of our level, motionless plain Earth that have been marginalized, suppressed, and ridiculed for centuries in favor of various unobservable, untestable, unscientific theories purporting we live on a tilting, wobbling, spinning ball.
The Earth is not a globe, as you have come to know it, but is in fact a flat disc-like shape. It's kind of a lot like this. Yeah. It suggests that the Earth's land masses lie flat. And to better understand this, let's go all the way back to the Bedford level experiment with Samuel Burley Robotham. So let's go to the chalkboard in the Bedford level experiment. Sir Samuel Burley Robotham, don't know if that's how it's pronounced, kicked off this whole flat Earth thing with the Bedford level experiment.
Samuel Robotham was a prominent and vocal flat Earth proponent in the 19th century, but he certainly didn't kick off this whole flat Earth thing. From the beginning of recorded history, and for thousands upon thousands of years, cultures across the entire world all believed the Earth was flat. The cosmology of literally every pre-Copernican culture, besides a few ancient Greek philosophers, described a stationary plain Earth, and not a spinning ball.
What he did is he started on a long river. And he stood here, this is him, with a telescope. And he had his friend in a boat ride a number of miles down the river. So this was what he was suggesting. Because of the curve of the globe, he shouldn't be able to see his friend after about 6 miles. The top of the sail should have been about 11 feet under his view, but he saw his friend go like more than 6 miles. The whole time he saw the whole boat and the whole thing just like this. That led him to thinking that Earth is not a globe.
In his 1881 and 1887 experiments, Albert Michelson discovered the Earth was not moving around the sun. As Michelson himself described the results of his experiment, this conclusion directly contradicts the explanation, which presupposes that the Earth moves. But since his colleagues, including Albert Einstein, were die-hard Copernicans who didn't want to believe that Michelson had discovered a motionless Earth, they proposed his experimental apparatus was distorted by Earth's motion through space, and thus Michelson's apparatus only made it appear as if the Earth wasn't moving. In scientific parlance, we call this the fallacy of petitio principii, that is, using as proof a moving Earth, the very thing one is trying to prove, a moving Earth. Let me explain. The first light beam was pointed westward because it was the presumed direction of the Earth's movement around the sun. The second light beam was pointed northward and thus away from the direction of the presumed moving Earth. The first light beam should have been affected by Earth's movement through space if the Earth is moving around the sun at an accepted speed of 66,000 miles per hour. If so, the first beam would have traveled slower than the second beam of light. But that didn't happen. Both light beams traveled at nearly the same speed. According to Michelson, the first beam traveled only about 1/6 of the speed needed if the Earth was moving around the sun. The conclusion, as Michelson notes above, should have been that the Earth isn't moving around the sun. Other prominent physicists have noted the same truth. There was just one alternative. The Earth's true velocity through space might happen to have been nil. Physicist Arthur Eddington. The data of the Michelson-Morley test were almost unbelievable. There was only one other possible conclusion to draw, that the Earth was at rest. Bernard Jaffe. Thus, failure of the Michelson-Morley experiment to observe different speeds of light at different times of the year suggested that the Earth must be at rest, and it was therefore the preferred frame for measuring absolute motion in space. Yet we have known since Galileo that the Earth is not the center of the universe. Why should it be at rest in space? Adolf Baker. The easiest explanation was that the Earth was fixed in the ether and that everything else in the universe moved with respect to the Earth and the ether. Such an idea was not considered seriously, since it would mean, in effect, that our Earth occupied the omnipotent position in the universe, with all the other heavenly bodies paying homage by moving around it. James Coleman. The Michelson-Morley experiment confronted scientists with an embarrassing alternative. On one hand, they could scrap the ether theory, which had explained so many things about electricity, magnetism, and light, or if they insisted on retaining the ether, they had to abandon the still more venerable Copernican theory that the Earth is in motion. To many physicists, it seemed almost easier to believe that the Earth stood still than that waves, light waves, electromagnetic waves, could exist without a medium to sustain them. It was a serious dilemma, and one that split scientific thought for a quarter of a century. Many new hypotheses were advanced and rejected. The experiment was tried again by Morley and by others with the same conclusion. The apparent velocity of the Earth through the ether was zero.
The captain thinks the world is around, see? But we all know it's a flat, right?
Of course it's flat. Sure, I know the world is flat.
Yeah, so do I.
Everybody knows that.